No, no.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You could read it.
1 second. Yeah, sorry about that technical error. So, yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, I'll start with the problems. So, consider a transformation from R2 to R2, which is defined as TV is equal to AB, where V is vector xy and A is 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay. So we have to check if this is a linear transformation, and we have to check whether this is 1 1 onto, whether it is 1 1, whether it is onto, or neither. Okay. So first look at this, TV is equal to AV. So here, so let V1 and V2 be two vectors. So we are taking this V1 plus CV2, and when we this, since this is linear transformation, this will be TV1 plus TCV2, which will be and by definition TV1 is AV1 and this is AV2. So what do we have here? We have AV1 plus ACV2. Okay, so um, this is actually like this. So we broke down TV1 C TV2 and we got this as V1 plus CV2, and hence this is a linear transformation. Now we have to check whether this linear transformation is 1 1 and onto or not. Okay. Uh, so see that um, when TV equal to 0 implies V equal to 0. So this is the condition we have to check, right? So here, uh, if we take TV equal to 0, then we have AV is equal to 0. And AV is equal to 0, when does that happen? So A is given as the matrix 1, 2, 2, 1. And we have to find the null space of that matrix, right? So this is 1, 2, 2, 1. And we have to multiply it with some vector. And we have to check whether this vector is 0, 0 or not, right? Uh, so notice that any non-zero number does not give this result. So clearly x1 is equal to 0, x2 is equal to 0, and hence we see that this is a 1-1 linear transformation. Now in the case, since TV is equal to 0 and we get the null space as trivial null space, so nullity is also 0. So since nullity is 0, then by rank nullity theorem, rank is 2 because rank plus nullity gives the dimension. So nullity is 0, so and the dimension is 2. So when we minus 2 minus 0, we get rank as 2. So hence, since rank of linear transformation is 2, we get T is both 1, 1 and on 2. Right? Now on to the next question. Any doubt in this one?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you just tell
Any
how
doubt in
is
this question?
rank related to?
Ma'am, last part, can you please explain one more time?
Okay. So the next question. Say we have a matrix 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 0. So this is the matrix that we have, and we are going to find the possible possible basis for null space of A. So there are options given actually for this. So the first option is we have to check for 0 1 0 0 0 0 0 1. So this is one set that is given to us. Another set is 0 0 0 1. Third set is 0 0 1 0. And the fourth set is 0 0 1 0 and 0 0 0 1. Okay, these are the 4 options given to us, and we have to see which of the following sets is a possible basis for the null space of A. Basis of the null space of A. So what is a null space? When we have a matrix given, the null space is the solution space of Ax is equal to 0. Okay. So we have to check which of the following options are in the solution space of Ax equal to 0. What does that mean? It means that when we multiply any vector with matrix A, we have to get 0 in the result. 0 column vector we have to get in the result. So how do we check that? Say first we check for 0001. Okay. So 0001 means 0 of first column plus 0 of second column plus 0 of third column plus 1 of last column. So 0 into C1 plus 0 into C2 plus 0 into C3 plus 1 into C4. This is C1, this is C2, this is C3, this is C4, and this is 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 equal to 0. Right? So this 0 is the vector 0 actually. This 0 is actually the column vector 0. Okay. So since we here get the result as 0, so this is our option. This is the answer. This option is correct. Now there is another vector that we can check because the other options are also there. right? So 0 1 0 0. So I'm sorry about the handwriting a bit. Okay, so 0 C1 plus 1 C2 plus 0 C3 plus 0 C4. Okay, what did I do? This is C1, this is C2, this is C3, this is C4. I multiplied from here. Okay, 0 into C1, 1 into C2, 0 into C3, 0 into C4, and clearly we are not getting because the answer is C2 and C2 is not a zero column, right? So this does not lie in the basis of null space of A, and so this is not the answer, this is not the answer. Sorry, not this one, this we are yet to check. This is not the answer, this is not the answer. Okay, so 0 1 0 0, right? So here when we take the linear transformation, when we take the product, then we get C2 in the answer, and C2 is also non-zero, which is why this is also not the answer. So second option is in the basis for the null space of A. Now we go to the next question. So the next question is that A is a 4/3 matrix and B is a 3/4 matrix. So if the null space of A and B are 2 and 1 dimensional vector spaces, so null space is Ax equal to B, the solution space of this. So X belongs to, this is a 4 row 3 column. Okay, X belongs to R3 such that Ax equal to 0. This is the null space of A. And the null space of B is X belongs to R4 such that Bx equal to 0, right? So what do we know? We know that the null space of A is 2-dimensional and the null space of B is 1-dimensional. What do we have to find? We have to find what is the maximum possible rank of the matrix AB. Maximum possible rank of the matrix AB. This is what we have to find. So by rank nullity theorem, we know that the nullity of A is 2, which means the rank of A is 1, right? 3 minus 2 is 1, so that's rank of A. Because this is nullity is subspace of R3, and that's why we subtract it from 3, not 4. We have A is a 4/3 matrix, which means A has got 4 rows and 3 columns. So when we multiply a vector with A, it has to be of 3-dimensional, right? So when we find the rank from rank nullity theorem, the dimension is taken as 3 and nullity is given as 2. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Right? So now similarly, rank of B from rank nullity theorem is 4 minus 1, which is 3. Okay, 4 is the dimension we have to consider, and nullity is given as 1, so rank is 3. Now when we talk about maximum possible rank of the matrix AB, then maximum possible rank of matrix AB will be the minimum rank of A and B. So minimum rank of A and that is minimum of 1 and 3, which is 1. So maximum possible rank of the matrix AB will be 1. I hope all of you are following.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have covered the rank nullity parts from week 5 and week 6. And now we are going to equivalence of
Just
matrices.
explain one more time, ma'am. Question number 1, last part. That 1 to 1 and on to part.
So if A and B are two matrices of order m by n, then we say that A is equivalent to B if there is, so we say A is equivalent to B if there exists an invertible matrix P of order n by n and an invertible matrix Q of order m by m. So basically there will be two invertible matrices, but both P and Q may be of different dimension. So one is n by n and another is m by n, such that B is equal to QAP. Okay. So this is the definition of equivalent matrices. Now let's look at an example. So suppose we have a matrix A, 1, -1, 0, 0, 1, 1. And a matrix B, which is 1, 1, -1, 2, 0, 1. Okay. So I have to show that these two matrices are okay. We know that these two matrices are equivalent, and Q is given as 0, 1, 1, 0. Then we have to find number of possible choices for P. Okay, number of possible choices for P. So we had here B is equal to QAP, right? Okay. So since B is equal to QAP, the dimension of B is 2 by 3. The dimension of A is 2 by 3. The dimension of Q is 2 by 2, right? So since this is 2 by 2, this is 2 by 3, this has to be 3 by 3 for the multiplication to be feasible. Okay. So say P is like this. Okay. So let P be like this, and we have to find possible choices for P, right? So we are going to compute this. So 1 1 minus 2 minus 1 2 0 1 and 0 1 1 0. This is the value of Q, and this is 1 0 minus 1, sorry, minus 1 1 0 1, and Q is sorry, not Q, P is A B C D E F G H I. Okay. So next we are going to calculate this. How are we going to calculate this? This is the first column is 0 1. Okay. The second column is 1 minus 1. The third column is 1 0. I'm not explaining the multiplication because you already know about it. So A B C D E F G H I. So now what? Now we calculate this part, right? So 0 D plus G, and this is E plus H. This is F plus I. This is A minus D. This is D minus E. And this is C minus F. Okay. So this should be equal to so we have to solve all these equations. So by comparing the first column, we get D plus G is equal to 1, A minus D is equal to 1. This is E, this is not C, this is E, and this is C. Okay. So basically we are going to compare the equations in this manner. E plus H is equal to minus 1, B plus E is equal to 2, F plus I is equal to 0. Okay. Then C minus F is equal to 1. And when we solve it, we find that D is equal to 0. E, you can solve and see the answer will come like this. D is equal to 0. E is equal to 0. F is equal to 0. A is equal to 1. B is equal to 2. C is equal to 1. G is equal to 1. H is equal to minus 1. I is equal to 0. Okay. So when we put these values in the matrix P, we get we are getting here one possible P, but P may not be unique. Okay, P is not always unique. Okay, so the next part We are going to linear transformation. Okay, we are going to a linear transformation question. So we have, let T be a linear transformation from R3 to R2, which is defined by T of x1, x2, x3 is equal to x1 plus x2 2x3 minus x1. Okay, so now let A be the matrix representation of T with respect to the ordered basis beta 1. So ordered basis beta 1 will be 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. This is the ordered basis beta 1, which is, so A is matrix representation of linear transformation T with respect to beta 1. Okay, so another matrix representation B of linear transformation T with respect to basis beta 2 will be 1 0 minus 1 1 1 1 1 0 0. Okay, okay, I did not give the codomain here, so codomain gamma 1 will be 1 0 0 1, because linear transformation R3 to R2. So for R3 the basis is beta 1 and for R2 the basis is gamma 1 and the matrix representation is A. And in the second part, the linear transformation, the basis of the linear transformation in
Ma'am, for
right. So beta 2 is 1 0 minus 1 this, and gamma 2
ma'am,
this
for
will be
A,
given for R2,
hello, ma'am.
and that is given as 0 1 1 0. Right, so what do we have to do? We have to find A, we have to find B, and if Q and P are matrices such that B is equal to QAP, then we have to find Q and P also. We have to find 4 matrices, A, B, P and Q. So how are we going to do that? So say we first start solving from beta 1. So T of 1 0 0. So what is the definition of T? It is x1 plus x2. So here x1 plus x2 is 1.
Hello,
2x3
hello,
minus x1. So 2x3 minus x1 is minus 1. Okay. Then T of 0 1 0 is what? x1 plus x2 is 1. 2x3 minus x1 is 0. Then T of 0 0 1, x1 plus x2 is 0, and 2x3 minus x1 is 2. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So basically what did we do? We took the elements from beta 1 and we applied this linear transformation on it. Now we are going to look at this transformed coordinates from the point of view of the gamma 1. So we have gamma 1 as 1 0 0 1, right? So this will be 1 into 1 0 minus 1 into 0 1, 1 into 1 0 plus 0 into 0 1, 0 into 1 0 plus 2 into 0 1. Okay. So what did we get from here? We the matrix A. So the matrix A is 1 minus 1. This is the first column. The second column is 1 0. The third column is 0 2. Similarly, we are going to find the matrix B. Okay. So the elements of beta 2 is 1 0 minus 1 1 1 1 1 0 0. And we are going to apply the same linear transformation that is given to us. X1 plus x2 is the first element and the second is 2x3 minus x1. Okay. So what do we get? We get here 1 minus 3. We get here 1 minus 3. And here we get x1 plus x2 is 2. And here 1. And here we get 1 minus 1. Right? Now let's look at gamma 2. Gamma 2 is 0, 1 and minus 1, 0. This and this. So, sorry. This will be, what is it? Okay. So this will be minus 3, 0, 1 plus 1 into 1, 0. 1 into 0, 1 plus 2 into 1, 0. Minus 1 into 0, 1 plus 1 into 1, 0. Okay. So again, this will be the first column of the matrix B. 1 2 minus 1 1. So from here next we are going to compute the values of matrices P and Q. So to calculate that, so B is equal to QAP minus 3 1 1 2 minus 1 1 is equal to Q. What is A? Minus 1, 1 minus 1, 1 0 0 2 and P. So so for P we express the elements of ordered basis beta 2 in terms of ordered basis beta 1.
Hello, ma'am.
We are going to represent the elements of beta 2 in terms of ordered basis of beta 1, right? So this is our beta 2. Then 1 0 minus 1, and we have to represent this in terms of this. This will be 1 into 1 0 0 plus 0 into 0 1 0 plus minus 1 into 0 0 1. Next. Okay, I'll do this. The space will get congested otherwise. Okay, so I'll do it below. So 1 1 1 1 into 1 0 0 plus 1 into 0 1 0 plus, I think this is straightforward how it is getting converted. Then we have the last element of beta 2. So from here, we have P. Okay, what did we have here? 1, 0, minus 1. So we are going to look at the coefficients that will form our column. And that's our matrix P. Okay, so next, similarly, what we are going to do? We are going to express the ordered basis gamma 1 in terms of ordered basis gamma 2. This in terms of this, right? So gamma 1 has 1, 0, 0, 1 and gamma 2 has 0, 1, 1, 0.
Hello, ma'am.
So this is ordered basis, so the order matters here. So 1, 0 is equal to 0 of 0, 1 plus 1 into 1, 0. And 0, 1 is 1, 0, 1 plus 0 of 1, 0, right? So Q is what? Q is, look at the coefficients and fill the columns. And we have B is equal to QAP, where B is minus 3, 1. Okay, I hope I'm audible. Minus 3, 1, 1, 2, minus 1, 1, and 0, 1, 1, 0. And here
Hello,
A, we found that this is, and P is 1, 0, minus 1,
ma'am, may I
1,
audible?
1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Okay. So from the linear transformation, we calculated the matrices and we calculated P and Q, right? So next, what we are going to discuss.
Ma'am, we are not audible. Hello, ma'am.
Okay, so we are going to discuss the properties of similar matrices. So similar matrices,
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Hello,
they
ma'am.
have three important properties for which we those properties we don't have to calculate too many things.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
We
Hello,
are
ma'am.
said to be similar. If they are similar, then they have the same rank. Okay, so they have the same rank. If A and B are similar, they have the same trace. What is trace? Trace is the sum of the diagonal elements. And A and B are similar if they have, then they have same determinants.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. So next we go to the topic of affine subspaces. Uh, So affine subspace, basically what it means is, in simpler terms, so vector space, what is vector space? Vector space is something that spans the whole space, right? So we know that vector space over a field R, it satisfies it has two different operations. One is vector addition, another is scalar multiplication, and it satisfies certain properties. I'm not going to list all that because you already studied it within week 1 to 4, right? So the most important property of vector space is that it has to have the zero vector, okay? But in case of affine subspace, it's like you are raising the vector space by a certain vector, okay? So say you have u as a vector space.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, then um, I'll stick to the notation that is already given to you, so I'll not confuse you. So let V be a vector space, then the affine subspace of V um, is a subset of V. What kind of subset L is? V plus U, such that, so V is a certain vector from the vector space V, and U can be any vector from the vector space U. So you are raising U by vector V, sort of, by adding U to V. This is like, you can visualize it like that. So this L is your affine subspace of V. Now there's a property, and that property is that the subspace um, the subspace U corresponding to an affine subspace L is equal to V plus U is unique, and that can be proven, but I'm not going into proof because A, it's going to take a lot of time, and B, you are not going to get the proof in exam, so I'm skipping the proof. Okay, I think is my screen visible?
No, no.
No, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Is my screen visible?
No, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. We are
ma'am.
audible.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, sure. Okay, sure. 1 second. Let me check. Yeah, can you please write the doubt in the comment, or maybe you can unmute and speak. One second.
Hello, ma'am. We are audible.
Yeah, yeah.
Ma'am, I have a doubt in previous question, but
Okay, which question?
transformation question.
Okay, this one?
Ma'am, your screen is not representing.
Oh, it's not visible. Okay, wait. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So this question.
Yes, ma'am. B matrix.
This one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is the doubt?
Ma'am, how will you find process name
So,
here 3 0 comma 1 plus here calculation part?
yeah. Okay. So what we have here? Um, yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the transformation is T x1, x2, x3 is equal to x1 plus x2 and 2x3 minus x1. Okay. So what do we have here? We have to transform 1 0 minus 1. Why we are picking 1 0 minus 1? Because it is in element of the basis beta 2. Okay. So,
Ma'am,
yeah.
how did we get these beta 1, beta 2, gamma
It
1
is
and gamma
given.
2?
It is given.
Oh,
Beta
in the
1, beta
question.
2,
Okay,
gamma 1, gamma 2.
okay.
Okay, these four are given, and we are applying the transformation on the elements of beta 2 according to the definition of T that is given to us. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now what will we do? We have the basis is gamma 2, right? So we are going to represent this transform coordinates as the linear combination of the elements of the basis gamma 2, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's how we got minus 301 plus 110, and similarly 1 into 01 plus 2 into 10, and minus 1 into 01 plus 1 into 10. Okay, and then these two coordinates go in the first column, these two in the second column, and the last two go in the third column. And that's how we
Ma'am,
get matrix B.
yes, ma'am. We do not have multiply minus 3 into 0 1 else.
No.
And okay. Got it.
हाँ
Got it?
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
नहीं मतलब कितने बजे आए थे घर
Okay, I think
नहीं, बस आए थे अरे 7 बजे वाला बस छोड़ा हमको दरभंगा मतलब 11 बजे छोड़ दिया तो फिर 12:30 बजे वाला ट्रेन से आए थे
Mute yourself. Hello.
हाँ
yeah, I'll continue with the next part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so next, next we'll look at Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process because that's important topic. So that's why we are going to look at that. Inner product. Okay, so let's look at norm of a vector space. This is basically for Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process. So norm of a vector space is a function defined from V to the real line R, and it satisfies the following conditions. Norm of x plus y is less equal to norm x plus norm y for any xy in V. The second is norm of Cx is equal to absolute value of C multiplied by norm of X, and the norm of any vector is always greater than equal to 0, right? So what is orthogonal set of vectors? So two vectors are said to be orthogonal. First,
Dot
we
product
are
is 0.
looking at when are two vectors orthogonal, right? So two vectors are orthogonal. Okay. Wait, I'm experiencing an echo because I joined from two places. So just give me a minute to adjust the sound. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My voice was echoing because I had joined from two places. Okay. So, yeah. So, I'll be discussing Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process, and for that, I'm discussing the important definitions around it. And after that, we'll go to Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process and how to solve that question like that, right? So we have discussed norm, and now we are going to look at what does orthogonality mean. So two vectors u and v are said to be orthogonal if the inner product of u and v are so the inner product is 0. So this means that u and v are orthogonal, and when we say orthogonal set of vectors, set, here we have set. So that means that any two element taken from that set are orthogonal. So basically what? Basically it means that v1, v2, Vk. This is a set. So we take any Vi and Vj from this set. Any non-equal vectors when we take from the set, then their inner product will be 0, right? So this is when that happens, then the set S is said to be an orthogonal set of vectors, right? And when do we say orthonormal? Orthonormal means that it is orthogonal and the norm of the vectors norm of any vector is 1, right? So orthogonal means it may not be the norm of the vector may not be 1, but any two vector in the set, when we take the inner product, that inner product has to be 0. When do we call the set as an orthonormal set? An orthonormal set is orthogonal, but on top of that there is one more property, that is the norm of each vector of the set is 1, right? Next we look at projection. So projection of one vector along another vector. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that say we have a vector v, and we want to project it along vector. We want to find its projection along vector A, right? So how do we find the projection? The projection will be norm of v divided by norm of A multiplied by the vector A. So let's look at an example. So let V is equal to R3, okay, and W is equal to X, Y, Z, such that X plus Y is equal to 0, right? So what is the basis of the space? W is clearly a vector space. How can we say that? It is a line that passes through the origin, so it is a vector space. Now what is the basis of this vector space? The basis is basis is 1, minus 1, 0, and 0, 0, 1. 0, 0, 1 gives us the Z, and 1 minus 1, 0 gives the X and Y, and X and Y are related. So X plus Y is equal to 0. This is the relation X and Y has to satisfy, and hence the basis of W is like this. Now, is this orthogonal basis? To check whether this is orthogonal basis, we have to take inner product. What is the inner product of these two vectors? 1 into 0, this into this. 1 into 0 plus minus 1 into 0 plus 0 into minus 1. 0 into 1, and that gives us 0, and hence this is an orthogonal basis. What is the norm? The norm is the norm of this vector is root over 2, and And the norm of this vector, how did I calculate it? So wait. So to calculate norm of 1 minus 1 0, we have to take the inner product of it with this vector with itself and then take the root over. So we get 1 into 1 plus minus 1 into minus 1 plus 0 into 0, which is 2. So this is root over 2. And the norm of this norm is 1. So the orthonormal basis will be, we divide by the norm. So orthonormal basis will look like this. This is this one is orthonormal basis for W. Now can we calculate the projection of 2, 1, 3 on W, right? So we are going to calculate projection of, just we are taking how we are calculating the projection, we are seeing it. So say 2, 1, 3 is some vector and we are calculating this vector's projection according to the basis of W, right? So how do we calculate that? We take the inner product of, so what did we see? What was the formula for projection? So from the formula of projection, we are going to calculate the inner product of 2, 1, 3 and 1 minus 1 0, and we are going to multiply it with the basis element. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
inner product and dot product are same, right?
Yeah. Inner product and dot product are same. So
Okay.
This okay, we have one more element here. This we have taken with this, and now we have another here. So 2, 1, 3. It's inner product with 0, 0, 1, and we are going to multiply it with the vector 0, 0, 1. I guess I can write it like this only because here it doesn't have any other norm or something. Okay. So when we calculate it, it's going to come like this: 1 by root 2 into 1 by root 2 into 1 minus 1 0, right? Plus 3 into 0, 0, 1, and that's going to give us half minus half 3. So this is the projection of 2, 1, 3 on the elements of basis of W. Next we look at Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process. So suppose we have ordered basis of a vector space V, V1, V2, Vn. Now this is not an orthonormal basis. Okay, we want to find an orthonormal basis from gamma. So gamma is your basis of vector space V, right? So from here we going to find orthonormal basis for V. So the first step is say W1 is taken as V1 and U1 is taken as W1 divided by norm of W1. So in this first step, W1 is taken as V1. So this is V1 divided by norm of V1. Then what do? Then to find the next element, we subtract from V2 the inner product of, for some reason it is so sorry about this. Okay, so W2, to find the next element W2, V2 minus the inner product of V2 and U1 and multiply it by U1, and U2 will be W2 divided by norm of W2. So okay, I'll write another step. W3 will be V3 minus inner product of V3 and U1 multiplied by U1 minus V3 inner product of V3 U2 multiplied by U2, and U3 will be W3. W3 is this. So U3 is W3 divided by norm of W3, and so on and so forth. This goes on. So now let's look at an example for demonstrating the Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process, right? So now let us consider the vectors V1, V2, V3, where V1 is equal to okay, wait, 1 1 1. V2 is equal to 1 0 minus 1, and V3 is equal to 0 1 1. So these are the three vectors. Now notice that the inner product of any two vectors, they are not really 0, right? So if you take inner product of V1 and V2, you get 1 plus 0 minus 1. Okay, this one is 0. So with the next one, 1 into 0, 1 plus 1. So you get inner product of V1 and V3 as 2, and the inner product of V2 and V3 as minus 1. So this is not an orthogonal set. We are going to apply Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process on it. So the first step will be taking U1 equal to V1. Okay, so the first step was I have taken here W1. So I'll stick with the notation, I guess. So W1 is taken as V1, which is 1 1 1, and we have U1 as W1 divided by norm of W1, So what is the norm of W1? It is root 3. So this will be like this. So next part, W2 is V2 minus inner product of V2 U1 divided by norm of U1, actually square of norm of U1 into U1. So when we compute this is your 1 0 minus 1, norm of V2 and U1 is 1 plus 0 minus 1, so that is 0 actually. Coincidentally this is coming as 0, so that is our W2. Next we calculate W3, and to calculate W3 we have V3 minus yeah, so what we are doing is we are taking projection of V3 with respect to U1. You can check, this is formula of projection, and minus projection of V3 with respect to U2, and we are going to divide that, subtract that, and we have here 0 1 1, and how do we calculate this projection? It is basically V3 U1 divided by inner product U1 U1 and multiplied by U1 minus inner product V3 U2 divided by inner product U2 U2 and multiplied by U2. Okay, so when we solve this, we are going to get 0 1 1 minus 2 by 3 2 by 3 2 by 3 minus half 0 half. Okay, so that's going to give us okay, so that is our Gram-Schmidt's orthogonalization process. And next we are going to look at just a sec. Okay, so next we are going to look at some questions. So say A is an M by N matrix, non-zero real matrix. And okay, so let A be an m by n non-zero real matrix where m and n are two non-zero natural numbers strictly greater than 1. So now we have to choose the correct option. Basically, we want to know what is the maximum value of rank of A, right? Maximum value of rank of A, and we want to know the minimum possible value of nullity of A. Minimum value of nullity of A. So here we are just given m and n. So if the first option is if m is less than n, then what is the maximum possible value of rank of A? So maximum possible value, so if you have a matrix A m by n and m is less than n, we always know that rank is the number of pivots when we calculate the Gaussian elimination. The row when we apply Gaussian elimination on a matrix A and bring it to row reduced form, then the number of pivots give us the rank of that matrix, and number of pivots in a row can only be equal to the number of pivots in the column. So when the number of row is less than number of column, then the rank cannot be that much. So maximum possible value of rank of A, if m is less than n, then maximum possible value of rank of A will be m. Okay. So now next we look at for calculating minimum value of nullity of A, we are given m greater than n in the option, right? So for m greater than n, what is nullity? Nullity is the solution space of Ax is equal to 0. Now, yeah, okay. Ax is equal to 0. And in this case, we have m greater than n, which means the number of row is greater than number of column. So since the number of column is less, the size of the this is m by n, right? The size of the vector x will be n by 1. So if the size is n by 1, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, fine. So, where was I? Yeah. So minimum value of nullity is A, and the number of rows are greater than number of column, and we have x with dimension n by 1. Then the minimum value of nullity can be n only, right? M is greater. We cannot multiply if x is of dimension m by 1 or something, then we cannot multiply it with A, right? So if the nullity will not make sense in that case. So if m is greater than n, then the minimum value of nullity is A. This is not the only way to solve this. This is one of the ways to think about this problem. You can also think of that the linear transformation. You can think of the linear transformation T, that T can be onto, but it can't be 1 1. So if T can't be 1 1, then T cannot be bijective, so it can't be isomorphism. That is for the case of m less than n. Yeah, similarly for m greater than n, T cannot be an isomorphism. So you can solve the problem by looking at the linear transformation as well. So this is the answer. Now the next question is so next question is, oh wait, okay, so let A1 and A2 be two affine spaces. A1, A2, B2 affine spaces. Defined by the solution space of the system of linear equations 101, 1, 101, 01, minus 1, 1, 1, 0. x1, x2, x3, 2, 2, 0. Okay, this is one affine space. Solution of this affine space and solution of 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. x1, x2, x3, 2, 4, 6. Okay, so now let V1 and V2 be the vector spaces of vector subspaces of R3. So V1 and V2 are vector subspaces of R3. Corresponding to A1 and A2. So we have to find the dimension of V1 and the dimension of V2. So first of all, this is the affine space of solution space. So what is affine space? Basically, affine space is we have a space and we are adding the element of that. Like if we are getting here. So if we had here 0 instead, if we had 0 vector instead of the non-zero vectors, then we would have the subspace, and since we have a different vector here, that means we have added a certain vector that due to which we are getting this. So when we look at the rank of this matrix and the rank of this matrix, from rank of this matrix we get the dimension of V1, and from the rank of this matrix we get the dimension of V2, right? So the rank of this matrix will come out as 1, and the rank of the other matrix will this will come out as 1 and this will come out as 2, right? Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
after applying Gaussian elimination method,
Yeah.
the number of non-zero rows are ranked, right?
I did not understand your question. Can you repeat once again?
Like in some question we have to find rank. So to find
Yeah.
it, first we have to apply Gaussian elimination method,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
after that we will get a matrix in this is the number of
So if this is the matrix, yeah, you apply the on row 3, you do row 3 minus row 1. Okay, so what do you get? 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 minus 1 minus 1. Okay, right?
yes ma'am.
So next you again subtract from R3, you subtract R2, and you get 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 0 0. And from here you get 2 pivots, right? So rank of this matrix is 2. Yeah, is it clear now?
Ma'am, can you please tell pivot means?
Yes, please. What is your doubt?
Ma'am, what is the meaning of pivots?
Okay. So pivots means so when you apply Gaussian elimination, say you have a matrix M by N. So it has certain number of rows and certain number of columns, and they may not be same. Okay, M and N may be unequal. If they are same, then it is a square matrix, otherwise it may not be same also. So always in the first row, the first element is the taken as the pivot element, and below that all of them are supposed to be changed into 0, like we did here in this example. This was already 0, so we applied operation to make this particular element as 0. So below and above the pivot, everything has to be 0. Okay, so the next pivot then
Okay.
will be this one, and here we have to make everything 0. Then this one, and here everything will be 0, right? So this is how we obtain the row reduced form, and we can further reduce it by changing these particular elements into 0 as well.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so now we can look at another question. Let's look at this question. So we have txyz as 2x plus 3y plus 8z and 4x plus 9y plus 16z. So this is basically a linear transformation from R3 to R2, right? So because the domains the element in the domain has 3 elements, x, y and z, and the range has got 2 elements. So this is in R3 and this is in R2. So if A is a matrix representation of T with respect to basis, what is the basis? 1 0 1 0 1 1 and 1 1 0. So this is the basis for R3 to the basis. This is the basis for R3 to the basis in R2, that will be 1 0 and 0 1, right? So what is the question? The question is to find out the sum of elements of the bottommost row of the matrix A. So to find sum of elements of bottommost row of matrix A, we have to first find out this particular matrix A, right? So to find out this, again we have seen one example. We take the elements from the basis of R3 and we apply the linear transformation on it. T101, T011, T110. So we have to calculate this. 2x plus 3y plus 8z. Okay. So 2 into 1 plus 0. Okay, wait. Here we have what? We have, let me refer it here so that I don't have to scroll again and again. So T of xyz is your 2x plus 3y plus 8z, and the other element is 4x plus 9y plus 16z. Yeah, so when we apply this elimination, we have 2 into 1, 3 into 0. Look at this and this. Okay, 2 into 1, 3 into 0 plus 8 into 1. So 2 plus 8, which is 10. That is your first element. That is your first element. Next one has 4x, that is 4. 9 into 0, this one. So 4 into 1 is 4, 9 into 0 is 0, 16 plus into 1 is 16. So 4 plus 16 is 20. Similarly, we are going to apply here. 2 into 0 is 0, 3 plus 8. So 3 plus 8 is 11. Next we have 4 into 0 plus 9 into 1 plus 16 into 1. So 9 plus 16, which is 25. Next we have 2 into 1 plus 3 into 1 plus 8 into 0. So 2 plus 3 is 5. And 4 into 1 plus 9 into 1 plus 16 into 0. So this is 30. So we have obtained here the transformation, and from transformation we are going to change this in the form of linear combination of this particular basis. Okay, because we are going from R3 to R2. So T of 101 is 10 into 20, and this will be 10 into 1 into 0 plus 20 into 0 into 1. T of 011 is, we have calculated as 11 into 25, which is 11 into 10. plus 25 into 0, 1. Next we have t of 1, 1, 0, which is 5 into 30, 5 into 1, 0, plus 13 into 0, 1. Okay. So from here we are going to get the matrix. This is going to be our first column. This is going to be our second column. And this is going to be our third column. And what did the question ask us? The question asked us to find out the sum of elements of the bottommost row of matrix A. So bottommost row has got these 3 elements. We have to sum it. And the sum will come out as 58. So that is our answer. Okay. So I guess I'll stop here. If you have any more doubts, you can ask.
Ma'am, can we go to question number 1, like first question which we solved, like this hour?
Yeah, this one?
Yes, in that one, like I wanted to ask how, like with the help of the rank, we determine the whether it is 1 1 on 2 or that. At the last, we have written that T is 1. Can you scroll down a little bit? We have written T is both 1 1 and on 2 based on the rank or something. So I do not understand how we are able to determine that.
Okay. Right. So, okay. So first of all, we know this comes from the property of linear transformation, that okay, so let me explain. So I have done this here, right? TV is equal to 0. So we have this property. Just a sec. Here it is. Yeah. So we have this property that if the linear transformation is 1, 1, I am just referring the exact statement. So if a linear transformation is 1, 1, then it is equivalent to that FV is equal to 0. So basically the property is like this. So if we say T is 1, 1, then that is equivalent to say that T V equal to 0 implies V equal to 0, right? So here what did we do? Here we showed that in this linear transformation, when we calculated TV, then the null space of AV equal to 0. So here we have the matrix A. So when we are calculating TV, we are calculating AV. So AV equal to 0 is the null space of A, and the null space of A only contains the 0 vector. So what did we show? We showed this particular property that TV equal to 0 implies V equal to 0. And since TV equal to 0 is V equal to 0, it's equivalent to T is 1, 1. Right?
Okay. And what about on to proper condition?
So on to condition is right. So this is your dimension of so T is a function from R2 to R2, and we have shown that okay, so what did we show? We showed that the null space of AV equal to 0 only has the 0 vector. So when the null space has zero vector, the nullity is zero. Nullity
Yes,
is the
correct.
dimension of the null space. Right? So null space has only zero vector means nullity is zero. So if nullity is zero, then from rank nullity theorem, the rank is 2.
Yes, correct.
So if the rank is 2, we also know that the dimension of the domain is also 2. So if the dimension of the domain and the rank, they both are equal, which means what? Which means that the transformation is onto.
So if dimension is equal to the rank, then we can say it is onto.
Yes, we can say
Okay, thank you.
that. Okay, anything else? So we can end here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So I'll end the meeting. Thank you for all of you coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, all the best for your quiz. Okay, bye-bye.